like everyone else, I have a crippling addiction to Marvel Rivals, and so I decided that meant I need to make this 5-foot soul sword. One of my favorite things about it and going through was the glowing edge, how the edge was a slightly different color. It's lighter here, but in some imagery it's that dark re-orange you can see on the edge of the blade right there that I wanted to capture. And then another big thing were those comic book-esque brushstrokes that go up and along the entire character model that make the art style of this game just so unique. So I wanted to capture both of those things specifically. And so this is the actual file I used for this build, the one by Wireframe, specifically made by Build Daniel Built, the connoisseur of giant McFuckton swords. And so really wanted to use this, specifically the design, how it had the entire blade along it set up where you can see here where it's a solid blade disconnected by the different colors, so that I could selectively choose to print the entire blade with the help of PCBWay, who were kind enough to sponsor this video. And you might be asking, what is PCBWay? It is an online digital commissioning service for CNCing, 3D printing, and most specifically PCB assembly. I personally mainly use it for 3D printing to supplement most of my builds with different resin prints, with nylon, PLA, anything like that. And then also special finishes like electroplating, like I did for my inverted Spear of Heaven, or this entire resin printed blade so that I didn't have to solder or sand anything to get this beautiful finish. And I don't have some discount. Psych, I'm apparently a liar. PCBWay actually just set me up with a referral link where you get $5 off whatever your first purchase is. Thank you, PCBWay. Glad to have this random final edit to throw into the video. Their services have been worth every penny for all of the different projects I've used them for. Now back to the nerd in the past who was talking about a giant sword. Now, while that is one way to do it, another way to do it would be to chop up the blade into tiny little pieces that fit on whatever print bed size that you have. I hate sanding and welding, so I went with the resin printed option to get the entire thing together in one piece where I didn't have to sand it all in one go, which was really helpful. Another thing was choosing the right filament for the handle and hilt, because the resin blade was going to be so immensely more heavy than the light PLA would have been. And so I went with a black carbon nylon from Polymaker to help with the durability and strength, to make sure that it wouldn't crack under the weight trying to carry it around. And then, because measuring tools are a scam by the government to try and take your money, I just literally took the handle into Ace Hardware and chose the rod for the center there. And since, once again, the resin blade is already so heavy, I'm not going to be swinging it around, I'm not going to be doing real cosplay with it. So I just chose a wooden rod to keep it cheaper and slightly lighter. My Instagram story, I actually asked what kind of things I should answer in this long form video. And the biggest question asked was how I did this color grade on the blade, which someone so kindly thought I used airbrush for. I used $6 rattle cans from Ace Hardware. That was it. Where I chose the lightest color and then worked my way down to the darkest orange at the hilt of the blade. And when it was completely dry, I would look back over it, and from a further distance, so that the area that the paint was going on was wider, and so it would be thinner, gradually worked my way further away to make the gradient blend easier over time. And then for that edge effect that I wanted to get in this build, I simply went through with green frog tape, actually, and made sure that an even edge was exposed along the line after doing the color gradient, and chose the darkest color for the near the base of the blade, and simply went along the edge and then sealed it with a clear primer to make sure that the color wouldn't leak underneath the tape, and then just painted it that orange. And now for the other effect that I wanted to get, those comic book brushstroke lines. Instead of going through and taping it like I originally planned, I ended up using a laser engraver to actually etch in these brushstrokes that I downloaded off of Google Images by simply going through and editing off all of the white, and then being able to crop, adjust, and choose which brushstroke I wanted, how much of the brushstroke I wanted, and then being able to orient it however I needed on the software in relation to the physical blade that was already painted underneath it. And using these settings right here, 3 and 300, or a variant of up to like 5, being able to choose how much of the paint I actually wanted to etch off of the blade to not fully go down to the white resin, but to actually keep a segment of the blade still within a specific color, that I actually used this test right here for, to show how deeply affected a print would be based on the laser power. While it's extremely subtle, you can see it best right there where the comic book strokes, it's just that little extra detail and love that really comes through on props like this that just kind of elevated it for me. And that's more or less how I made the Marvel Rivals Magik Soul Sword. Please like, subscribe, and if you like the Soul Sword, you're gonna love my other Marvel Rival builds coming soon.